Hey. Um, Here's a question, and while Facebook is letting everybody know that we're here on this, is there a place to go, Gabe, for us, like back end? Like, I know there's probably not for the public, but is there some place that we can go that we can see like what's being released tomorrow? Edelweiss doesn't really have anything like that, do they?
No, I think Ingram iPage probably does. That's probably
Okay,
the best
the
place
best
to look
place.
for stuff. Yeah, I mean,
Here
for
comes
me,
Andrea.
I go through Edelweiss and I sort through my own list by
Right,
date, so I can keep
right.
track of dates that way and key books. But yeah, I don't know that there is
Because that's what I was trying to,
on
because
sale
as
this
I
week.
saw that we were going to kind of be light today with some people, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just go and see if there's someplace where I can quickly look and see what's coming out tomorrow. But I
Some you
realized
just read.
there's not really a quick place. There's the woman
There she is.
coming in hot.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! I like it. We haven't even started yet, so it's perfect.
Okay, well, great. Thanks for everything.
Yep,
Good to see you.
we are live on Facebook. So, and who knows if Kim DeVoe is going to join us? She could be coming in hot too. So you never know. That's what I like about this. It's kind of like it's live, and you never know what's going to happen.
Never know.
Never know.
You gotta have some mysteries in life.
See, here comes Kim. See, told you. Here comes Kim coming in hot. So Amanda, are you going to stay on, or are you going to pop off?
Come on, stay on.
I don't know. I should make way for the professionals.
The professionals.
Yeah, you're a professional. Yeah, it's everyone here. Come on.
It's up to you. Kim, do you want to turn on your camera? There you are.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
I can.
So you staying on then, Amanda?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So the order is going to be then, Amanda, I'm going to have you go last, so it kind of sweeps back around. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to go Gabe, Andrea, Kim, and you. And I only have one to talk about, but we have so many events this week. So I am going to talk about those at the end. We've got double headers all week long. So we got some great stuff happening this week. So I can't wait to tell you all about it. So with that, Gabe, start us off with your first selection.
Well, it feels funny being first.
Yeah.
Here I am. Sorry, freak
That's
out.
all right.
So my first book today is Matt Bell's new novel, which goes on sale tomorrow, Appleseed. And all the cool people are reading it. Yes. Thank you, Amanda, for punctuating that. But it's the book that all the cool kids are reading right now. It is one of those books that is going to take you places. It's going to activate your brain and start popping things all over your brain. Matt is a brilliant writer. I think along the lines of a Neil Stephenson, speculative. There's some, futuristic, sci-fi-ish kind of deep thought. This is the kind of book that I can't conceptualize. I could read it and get it, but in my brain, I'm nowhere near smart enough to pull off what Matt does in this book, and have a really just page turner of a novel. But basically, it's a story of the planet. It's a story of good intentions and people coming together to create a society. And they start planning a community, and then the community gets too big, it gets bad. Then we have climate change, and then we move forward to 1,000 years from now and what's left of the world. That's all in a nutshell. There's just a lot going on here that makes you think about where we're headed as a society. It's a really thoughtful book, as well as super entertaining, because Matt just finds these, situations and just, turns them inside out, and you start examining it from all over the place. And it's really a fascinating ride. So it's a tough book to comp. I can't say, oh, if you like, so-and-so, you'll like Matt Bell. I think Neil Stephenson's about as close as I can get. Someone who's really thoughtful and really provocative and really thinking way beyond where I'm thinking. And I can't say enough about Matt Bell. We named Best Book of the Summer by a lot of different, newspapers and magazines across the country. People have been waiting for this. I've got a lot of requests for this advanced readings copy as I was selling it in, as people got word that Matt Bell had a new book. So he's not at the top of everybody's radar, but I think after this, he's going to really move up in notoriety. Really, I think a really well-respected writer in his world, and I think this book is going to bring him out to the greater world because it's a terrific. He did a really amazing job. So with that, I will let you go order that online, so it's ready waiting for you tomorrow morning at Warwick's.
I love that. Yeah, I've been seeing that book everywhere, so I think it's going to be one that everybody's going to be talking about. How many?
Yeah, it's
pages?
cultural. It's it's myths. It's everything. It's a lot of stuff going on.
Oh my God! How many pages is that thing?
It's digestible.
It's digestible. Okay.
465.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's
See,
not,
what was it? I just saw Alice Hoffman put a quote out today that I think it's from Jane Austen that said something about how a well-written book is never long enough. So
that is so great.
Is that a great quote?
I love that.
I know.
I might have to get a tattoo.
At
this late date.
At this late date. I love that though. Isn't it a great quote?
I'll get a t-shirt.
You're always so sensible, Gabe. You know, like talk me off that ledge.
Commit. You gotta commit, man.
I don't want Hep C. That's the only thing that keeps me from getting the version of Guadalupe on my forearm is the I don't want to get Hep C, baby.
Hep C,
well,
baby.
you know, I have
B,
an
whatever.
artist. I have an artist. We'll talk about it because I have an artist that would do a great job with that. Freddie Negrete. Do you know him?
I do not.
Do you know his work? He's amazing. He's amazing. He's kind of a celebrity guy. It will cost you a pretty penny, but he knows what he's doing. And we'll talk offline.
There you go. All right, Andrea, your turn. What do you got?
He's also
us?
super safe. Well, this book you've also seen around a lot in hardcover, Vesper Flights, the latest from Helen McDonald, a celebrated author of H's for Hawk. This is publishing tomorrow in paperback.
Yay!
$17 trade paperback from Grove Press, one of our storied publishers. And this was a New York Times bestseller. Naturally, just following in the footsteps of H's for Hawk, and they're interlinked essays from one of our premier nature writers. And it explores the human relationship to the natural world in general on various topics in these interlinked essays. And I'm going to read, I think, like the quote from the New York Times from Parul Sehgal, who really just nails what this book is. She, and that's of course Helen McDonald, writes about migration patterns and nests as a metaphor for the domestic and the danger of using nature as metaphor at all. I was reminded of the goshawk, so thickly plumed, so powerful that it can bring down a deer, and yet it weighs only a few pounds. These are the very paradoxes of McDonald's prose, its lightness and force. That is just amazing. That's a great quote. And, you know, I can't say enough about Helen McDonald's prose and also just who she is as a person. I had a chance during the paperback tour of H's for Hawk to escort her around the greater Southwest, got to interview her. And she's a wonderful person, and she translates her knowledge of the natural world, but also her deep, rich, and vulnerable humanity to the pages of this title and H's for Hawk as well. So I'm really hoping that y'all come on down to pick up the paperback edition of Vesper Flights, $17. On the shelves at Warwick's. And I think something that would be a nice change of pace for book groups, if you're reading long form narrative nonfiction and or novels, read these interconnected essays for a little change of pace.
I agree. I think it's a great a great suggestion, because I think sometimes book groups shy away from that sometimes, but there's so much to talk about with her writing that and
Yeah.
her stories, that I think it's a really great suggestion for a book club. For sure.
Yeah, and especially, the interlinked part of
Mhm.
it, because
Mhm.
there is some flow. I mean, it's been edited nicely to make
Right.
sure that there is a flow. And I don't see how a book group really couldn't get into a deep exchange about this.
Yeah, I
So
agree. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
Kim, what do you have for us?
Okay. My first pick is
Oh.
Razor
Wait a
Blade
minute.
Warrior.
Okay, that was going to be mine too. Okay.
I figured. Okay. Figured there was a good chance of that. So, Razor Blade Tears is by S.A. Crosby. Sean, I found out last year. Last year's breakout hit by this author, Blacktop Wasteland, was one of my favorite books of 2020. And his new book, Razor Blade Tears, is even better. And I know Adrian Gerard and John also loved it. The story is about two dads, both ex-cons, haunted by their past, who team up to investigate the murder of their two gay sons who are married to each other. They are an unlikely pair. Ike is Black and turned his life around when he got out of prison 15 years ago, while Buddy Lee is a white, self-described redneck living alone in a trailer. But both of them rejected their sons because they were gay, and they are struggling with both their grief and profound regret for not accepting their son's sexuality. Crosby is a phenom of a writer, and Ike and Buddy Lee's quest for vengeance and absolution is filled with both tender, raw emotion and white-hot rage and violence. And these two anti-heroes are heartbreakingly sympathetic, authentic, and compelling. Along the way, contemporary race and LGBTQ issues are explored with remarkable nuance and depth. Also, his dialogue is unbelievably good and often very funny. And this book is just fantastic. Definitely one of my top books of 2021. And of course, Paramount Pictures is going to make a movie of it. And we're doing an event with Sean tomorrow at 4 on Facebook Live, which is going to be amazing.
Yep. Oh, it couldn't said it better. So just whatever Amanda, whatever Kim just said, just go ahead and put that under my thing too. Tomorrow.
No, that's cheating.
Come on.
No copying.
Do you even need to be here, Julie?
I know. I don't even need to be here. What am I doing here?
What are you doing here?
No, I want to hear what you have to say too.
It's so good. What she said was absolutely right. And what I was really impressed with is he tackles these like subjects, like you said, being Black in America and LGBTQ things in really a very just like, he just puts it out there, and he puts some very, at times you're reading it, you're going, whoa, that took some guts to write that sentence.
Yeah. But he's remarkably, almost weirdly, like, I don't know, his perspective is almost like non-judgmental.
For sure.
He really understands people who think completely differently from himself, which is so rare these days. I mean, he really does.
But I mean, he captures the stereotypes,
right?
And the counter to him. I mean, he captures it all amazingly.
Yeah, he's absolutely incredible, and his writing, he writes like a god. I mean, oh my god.
I mean, the pages just fly. But it is one of those things that in this kind of a book that's it's I guess it's classified as a mystery crime novel.
Thriller.
I guess that's what it's classified as, but it's way more, it's got way more depth to it. And not
sounds
to say
like it's got a lot of,
well,
it just sounds like it has a lot of social commentary. I'm sorry to interrupt your flow.
Correct. That's exactly what it does. And I mean, a lot of thrillers do have that. A lot of thriller, I'm not trying to discount the thriller genre, because I think that it's, there's a lot of things that can be explored in that. Sean does it in an extremely eloquent way.
And his depth of character is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
and in very few sentences, I mean, he in the very first pages, he captures what all these characters are. I mean, you've got them pictured right from the get-go. It's really good.
Yeah.
All right.
Who's the publisher?
This is a Flatiron. This is Macmillan. This is a Macmillan. So, yeah. Yeah, we got to yell at Mike Slack. Got to get Mike Slack on here. Michael.
Come on, Mike.
Michael never do this. All right, Amanda, what do you got for us?
I want to mention really quick too, if you get the UT, the Sunday edition, Seth Coombs did a really good interview with Cosby here. Very good interview, and he's urging people to read the book before Hollywood puts its claws in it.
Exactly, because you never know what happens.
That's right. And, I like that because, he's going to take the money from Hollywood, but he's going to keep his integrity. And I like that.
Yep.
He'd rather you read the book first.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he worked hard on that book.
Yep.
So I will also put in my word for Appleseed by Matt Bell, out tomorrow. Gabe already went over it, but what I'll do is read a few quotes because people have already said things so eloquently. From executive director at Custom House, Catherine Nintzel, she mentions that this book is in conversation with Greek mythology, American mythology, Shakespeare's witches, tech thrillers, and dystopian science fiction. It breaks apart our most fundamental beliefs and makes possible our most impossible futures. It is a cerebral pleasure, a lesson on craft, and a treatise in the form of fiction that is deeply, deeply engaged with our world today. And there are so many other authors really pulling for this book. Our friend Amy Bender, author of The Butterfly Lampshade.
God, that was a good book.
She says, these characters and their visceral struggles will remain with me for a long time. And Karen Russell, author of Orange World, among others, says, Appleseed is a work of incandescent imagination, at once an eco-horror story about human greed and a regenerative new myth. Bell's book is a chrysalis inside of which I could feel my mind changing, preparing for new flights. So
Wow.
yeah, I'd say if you're
Okay, I guess I can never write another blurb again. Jesus.
I know. I just give up.
I mean, I also think that when you guys were talking about, or when you were talking about comps on this one, Gabe, it kind of reminds me of what Kim Stanley Robinson has been doing too, like with his
Yes.
latest work.
He's so cool.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
was
and I just think
very-
he has like a whole new, a whole new audience with this latest of his titles. And it just kind of sounds like it's all melding. Like all of these concerns are like a lot of people are starting to write it, about them in these really engaging ways. I mean, I can't wait to read this. I'm all excited, like by those blurbs, and yeah.
I'll send you a
What was
copy.
that? What was that? She was her mind was a chrysalis ready to take flight. I mean, that is
Come
quote
on.
worthy, man.
I thought that was
Yeah,
pretty much what I said, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we got. We interpreted it for you that way.
Yeah.
The authors.
No,
I go ahead.
No, I'm just excited that you presented this book because I've been here in my little bunker in Bishop, California, and I haven't been out to the stores to see what's on the shelves and stuff. And I mean, this sounds like one of those great books that, are going to change people's lives. So
The
Awesome.
author
I think
seems
so.
really cool too. I follow him on social media. He has actually written, for all you nerds out there, he has written a nonfiction book about the video game Baldur's Gate 2. If
Wow.
y'all remember that game. Yeah. So nerd alert.
Love it.
serious nerd alert. Come on.
I love it.
All right. Okay, Gabe, what's your next pick?
Already?
Already.
My next pick is something predictable and huge print run. I don't even know if I could talk about this. It goes on sale tomorrow. Don't tell anybody we talked about it. It's, one day lay down. It's been, kept very, very quiet. Huge announced first print run, and it is all about Facebook. The title is An Ugly Truth. The authors are Sheila Frankel and Cecilia Kang, reporters for the New York Times. And they went in deep into Facebook and the many, many breaches of not only securities, but of like human decency. They really exposed a lot of what was going on in there. And while many people have said, the company it got so big so fast, they just lost their way. My two authors are illustrating illustrating to everyone who reads this exactly how calculated the programming of this sort of addictive, incendiary speech to keep. Bottom line was, keep people engaged as long as possible, no matter what it takes. Whether it's inflammatory, whether it's treasonous, whether it's racist, just open up the platform and let it go. The engineers and the designers and the programmers were encouraged to produce this sort of, get this content going and instigate this. So there's just, aside from the privacy breaches that were purposely done, so we, the authors shine a light on Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg. He's the geek guy who made $1 zillion working hard, and she's the quintessential woman CEO on fire. But the truth is, really, really nefarious. So out tomorrow, it's going to get a lot of attention. Get out early and get ahead of the story, because it's going to be a wild ride, I think, this one.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
They've
been trying to.
Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead,
go
Andrea. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, they've just been trying to send out disclaimers like through the gossip mill and everything, and it's too late. It's out. Okay.
Out.
I read a pretty interesting article somewhere about this, about how basically Sandberg's and Zuckerberg's relationship really did not hasn't fared well over the increased scrutiny with antitrust, et cetera. So we'll see how long she hangs around, but this is really white hot, dirt here.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you guys are going to sell a bajillion copies, I think. So
well, and I think that, to your point, Gabe, and I think that's the thing that when you said earlier too, these were not dumb people that were just like, oh, we don't know is happening,
Right.
They didn't get to where they were at being
Right.
that way. It's like
right.
This guy was calculating when he was in Harvard, wherever the hell he went, when he was
Right.
19 years old.
When
Yeah, he was
blew up the
figuring out how to
twins-
steal it from the twins.
The twins.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
he was figuring that out back
Right.
then.
So,
He was
this is
calculating
not
that stuff.
somebody, exactly. So it's
Allegedly.
not somebody that just all of a sudden gets overwhelmed.
Yeah, allegedly. Well, I'll say that he's allegedly a sociopath. Okay.
Yeah.
You can quote me here.
You
At
heard
tea
it here
time.
first.
I hope we don't suddenly have tech issues going
Right.
on Facebook Live next week.
Facebook Live. Yeah, we are using the platform. Oops.
Face starts melting.
We start melting. We're melting.
You'll never hear me say anything again. My mic will always
Will
cut
always
out
be
from
off,
now
yeah.
on.
It's like, hey, and I love that. What would be so funny is if that it really did happen, like Tea Time's the pulse. We're on the pulse of it, baby. Tea Time. All right,
And
Andrea,
now-
give us your
And
next pick.
now for something totally different, I want to talk about Deep Hanging Out: Wanderings and Wonderment in Native California. This is by Malcolm Margolin, and it's out June 11th. And this is from Heyday Press, and it's a hardcover at $28. Heyday Press is, of course, one of our celebrated publishers from Northern California, and they their emphasis is primarily on Native America, but also in the context of California tribes, but also just California history in general. And Malcolm was the founding publisher, has retired a few years ago, and we have a new publisher there that's following in his footsteps and bringing some great new work to the press. But Deep Hanging Out, this is at the heart of what Heyday Press does, and so it's basically Malcolm has been deep hanging out or immersing himself in Native American culture, like across the basically there's 100 tribes in California alone. So that's a lot of Indian nations just in this state. So he's been interacting in an informal and social way in Indian country since the 1970s. He also helped found News from Native California in 1987. And so this book is a collection of his writings over the last 50 years. So it's just a wealth of knowledge. And it talks, he's like, and it's like all, like native wisdom, and speaks about rituals and religious beliefs, but it's also contemporary issues, dealing with contemporary issues, also just writing about notable Native Californians, his friendships with folks, and interviews with old timers to make sure that their knowledge doesn't get lost. It is just a wonderful collection, filled with insight and affection for sure. And the writing is amazing. His one of his books, let me see if I can see this on my screen. The Ohlone Way, Indian Life in the San Francisco Monterey Bay Area, was named by the San Francisco Chronicle as one of the 100 most important books of the 20th century by a Western writer.
Wow.
So he's got the chops.
Yeah.
Malcolm Margolin. And so I hope that you can take a look at this book. It's for, I think, people interested, academics interested in Native California, but also for a wider lay readership, for anybody who's interested in California history. I think this is a book for them. Deep Hanging Out, Wanderings and Wonderment in Native California. That's by Malcolm Margolin, $28 hardcover, and that's from Heyday, and it is out now.
Yeah, that's amazing that there are 100 tribes in nations in California.
Yeah. Well,
That's amazing.
yeah, and it makes sense considering it's a fairly decent, landmass, but there's also
Right.
like the expanse, just like the rich
Resources. Yeah.
like the resources that were here, and the trade routes like were pretty amazing. There's like Italian beads from the Renaissance era are found in like a couple valleys over from here, like near the
that's
Nevada
crazy.
border,
Yeah.
that got here on the trade route, like right, laying right next to indigenous baskets,
Pottery.
or
Yeah. The pottery or whatever.
that
Yeah.
was like, contemporaneous with that
Yeah.
1600, bead from the 1600s. It's crazy, like how really complex and complex these trade routes were, especially around here.
And we didn't think that stuff was going on, because it's like, oh, you mean that the country was doing something before 1776? What was it doing?
There was more people in North America, including Mexico, what is now the United States, and Canada. There was more people here living here than there were in Europe when the Europeans started coming here. So a lot of people don't know that, but it's true.
That's an interesting fact too. No, that sounds like a really good one. Especially living here in California, I think that's a really, really interesting selection. All right.
Yeah.
Kim.
Well, enjoy. I hope people enjoy that book and pick it up.
Thank you. Okay, Kim, what do you got for us?
Okay. This is kind of blurry. Sorry. My next book is a debut. Suburban Dicks by Fabian Nicieza, who is a comic book writer and editor who is best known as the co-creator of Marvel's Deadpool. So set in suburban New Jersey, this book features a pair of misfit amateur sleuths. Andrea Stern, once an up-and-coming FBI profiler responsible for catching a serial killer, who is now a stay-at-home mom, hugely pregnant with her 5th child, and Kenny Lee, a Pulitzer Prize-winning but now disgraced reporter. After Andrea happens upon the murder scene of a local gas station attendant, she decides to try to solve the case, teaming up with Kenny along the way. Together, they discover a decades-old cover-up and conspiracy involving a legacy of racism and cultural prejudice in their small town. Filled with skewering social commentary, this entertaining murder mystery is hilarious, insightful, and engrossing, and I just loved it.
Okay, Sen, you got Twitter famous too. I know you probably don't follow Twitter, but a customer came in and bought the book and took a picture of the book with your little recommendation in it, and took a picture of our sign that says buy books for people who sell books and don't want to colonize the moon, and tagged the author. And basically what the guy said was, if it's good enough for Kim, it's good enough for me. It was so great. And the author, I mean, as famous as he is, he was retweeting stuff. I mean, it was a great thread that went on for a while. There was some really fun stuff.
This book is so funny. I mean, so funny. I mean, and Andrea, and Kenny, the 2 main characters, are just delightful. They are absolutely hilarious, total opposites. Andrea, I totally sympathize with you. And it was just great. And there's a lot deeper meaning to it as well.
No, it was really fun to watch. It's really fun when social media catches like that and something happens. It's really fun to watch.
But I mean, almost anyone would love this book. It's really fun.
It's good enough for Kim. Love it. All right, Amanda, you got anything else for us?
Yes.
Okay.
So from our friends at Akashic Books, this is a new addition to their fantastic noir series. So for those of you who aren't necessarily the light, breezy, beach ready summer read people, this is Palm Springs Noir. This is in their anthology that they started in 2004. They started in Brooklyn, and there are quite a few now set in California. There are, let's see, they've done LA, I think they've done San Francisco and Berkeley.
There's a San Diego one.
San Diego one. It's actually the San Diego one was edited by our friend Mary Elizabeth, who was over at Mysterious Galaxy. She's kind of bookseller royalty in town. A lot of people know Mary Elizabeth. So this one, you'll be interested to know, features stories from our friend T. Jefferson Parker, also Janet Fitch, and just a great collection if you're feeling in a dark mood in the San Diego summer sun. Pick up the latest addition to the noir series by Akashic Books.
I love it. I would think that Palm Springs has some pretty twisted noir, right? I mean,
the heyday.
Yeah.
It's got a lot going on there in the 50s and 60s.
Oh yeah, you know
I think
it.
there's some pretty twisted stuff that was going on there.
Oh yeah.
All right, we got time for lightning round. Let's go, Gabe.
All right. Or you can pick up San Diego Noir. I got a story in San Diego Noir for those who don't know.
You do? Are you in that?
Keep up, Jules.
Come on. How come I never knew that? What am I doing here? What am I doing here? Right. Obviously, I'm a terrible bookseller.
We have a big stack of it.
Yeah,
I was going to talk about Daniel Silva with the new book, Nerve Gas, Gabriel Allon, his famous assassin, Israeli agent, coming out tomorrow. But I'm not. I'm going to talk about, I decided to talk instead about Joyce Maynard's
yay!
latest book, Count the Ways. because it is, I think, her best book. I think the New York Times calls it her most ambitious book. We got to start Kirkus and Library Journal, which are, as I keep saying, the early trade reviews from the industry that sort of help launch books. Joyce has written a lot of books at Harper, and this one is being as well received as any. But it's a really great novel of family dynamics. She does the family thing really well, and in this book, I think she steps it up like a couple of steps, a couple of notches. It is a family that comes together. These two, Eleanor and Cam meet in the 1970s in Vermont. Life's very groovy. They're at craft fairs. Soon they have, 3 kids, and life is moving along. And then Cam's carelessness causes a major accident, and Eleanor can never forgive him, so they part ways. And this is where the story really takes off, and as the family just sort of explodes. Eleanor becomes all consumed by her momminess, and Cam finds solace in the arms of a younger woman. It's kind of cliche, but the family keeps coming together and apart, and together and apart, as families do at occasions. And sometimes there are explosive scenes. Sometimes they're really wonderful, tender, familial scenes. So it's really, really felt very authentic. It felt like a really honest telling of what goes on in a family life. There's one of the siblings is in transition, which leads the family in a certain direction. One decides to break away from her mom. So there's just a lot going on here. A lot of, this sort of very solid core, perfect family early on turns into this very divided group, but all very natural and just family. She did really, I think, a masterful job with this book. So I wanted to talk about it. And it goes on sale tomorrow as well.
I'm glad you did. Send me a copy. I never got a galley of that.
I have one. I'll have one.
I love Joyce Maynard.
You guys do really well with Joyce.
You do great with Joyce. Joyce writes just such a great family story. I mean, she just is that good.
She does.
Solid, Labor Day. I can't remember. Good Sister. I think Good Sisters, something like that.
Nah, Labor Day was ours. Yeah, that was a
Labor Day, but there was another good name. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So, and I wanted to tell you, Gabe, Beth's on here watching too. She said that she read the London dog walking book. Thumbs up.
Oh,
yay,
good.
And then Kim, I think your recommendation that you gave for Falling last week or the week before, I can't remember who says, somebody on here said they read it and was like loving it. So I can't say.
Nice to get away.
That
Barbara.
was Barbara Ramsey.
Yeah, Barbara said she devoured it. So
Oh,
I'm glad
so
that
glad.
people are watching and reading what we're talking about. I love it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll come back next week for y'all.
Pretty sure we will.
Okay, yeah, we've been doing this now for how many weeks? We're coming back to you. Okay, Andrea, what do you got?
I have The Colors We Share, a kid's book from Aperture, which is one of our great photography publishers. This is by Angelica Das. It is out tomorrow and it's a hardcover at $16.95. And I love this book. It's made for young readers 5 to 8. But I think a lot of people can learn from this book and find something of interest in it. And it basically features portraits that celebrate the diverse beauty of human skin. So basically, it depicts, as you can see on the front cover, it depicts people from all over the world against a background that matches their skin tone. And it sort of challenges the racially charged notions that we use to describe race. And what does it mean to be white or black or yellow or red or brown? And so it shows like a whole variety of people with their Pantone number, like Pantone 725C, right?
Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then it it gets bigger. The pictures are bigger. It starts out with like really small pictures, right? And then it goes 2 by 2. So 32 1C and 75 9C. Like those are pretty far apart, those Pantones. And then it shows two people from obviously two different, two different racial categories as we would, think of it, with the same exact Pantone number.
Interesting.
Isn't that
I love
interesting?
this. I love this concept.
Yes, Pantone 587C, these two young ladies. Okay. And then it breaks it down again. Okay, so we start to these are all 58.6Cs, okay? And so there's four people of different, traditionally different races as we would see it. Okay.
This is fascinating.
Yeah, it's a really brilliant book. Now it seems like just kind of like a cliched or, one world, like something that's like really simple, but it's a brilliant concept. And then like the last pages show all these tiny little portraits. And I think like kids from 5 to 8 are going to like just be there staring and
Right.
looking at all these beautiful faces. And I just think that this is a wonderful book to celebrate the diversity of human skin and like show how much we have in common, and
love it.
I think this is a fantastic book, and should be in every kid's home library, really.
Yeah.
The colors we share from Aperture. This is Angelica Das, $16.95 hardcover, and that's out tomorrow. And this is a great holiday book too, I think.
Yeah,
I
I think you're right.
Anyway, it's a beautiful book, and I'm very proud to represent that to bookstores.
Yeah, I love
So-
that. That's a great concept. Fantastic concept. Sarita's on here. Sarita, I'm glad you liked The Sleeping Bear. I loved it. Wasn't it good? It was just like page turning. Oh, The Sleeping Bear was so good. You and I though, the torture scenes are a little something though. Anyways, Sarita, I think you'll like this if you like Sleeping Bear, because it's got that same sort of page turning thing going on. Okay, Kim, what's your last pick?
Okay, my quick pick is The Startup Wave
Oh, okay.
by Tamima Anam, and it comes out tomorrow. And this story is a satire of tech culture, and it features a talented computer programmer, Asha, who co-founds a social media platform with her husband, Cyrus. The platform customizes ceremonies and rituals for people who aren't religious to give meaning to our everyday lives. And it's wildly successful. Cyrus gets all the credit as the visionary genius, but really it was Asha's idea, and it was her hard work that made it all happen. And this book explores a whole bunch of themes, like so many. The marginalization of women of color in Silicon Valley, power, race in general, gender, feminism, marriage and love, the definition of success, and the inner need for spiritualism, along with our desire to connect to each other. And it's just got so much going on. It'd be a great book club pick. And I listened to a lot of it, and at the very end, there's an interview between the author of the book and the narrator who narrates the audio version. I think they're both from Bangladesh. I think they were both born there. And the author is older; she has kids, and the reader is a young woman actress who is around the same age as the main character. And they'd never met. This first time they're Zooming, and it's just a really fascinating interview. And if anybody listens to the book, read that first, because it's really interesting, and it gives you a little bit different perspective on the whole book.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a really cool book.
Yeah.
And I'm just really interested in how everything in our lives is so dramatically changing every day, related to Facebook and all that.
Right.
And this really looks at some of those themes.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I've been seeing a lot about that one too.
She is one of the most brilliant writers I have ever read, Tamima Aman.
Really?
We published a trilogy of her, sort of the carving out. She's but Bangladeshi. I'm sorry.
Yeah, from
And
Bangladesh.
yeah, and her trilogy was just brilliant. She's one of those authors who you just pick up the book and you're just like, wow, she just knocks you out. And then the second book came out, and she's not the easiest sell. I don't know why. I guess people just don't. She hasn't got that glam thing going or something. But I think anybody who wants to get into a different culture, a really exotic culture, she's a brilliant writer. I mean, the writing is what brings you back every time. I would read it. Anything she writes, I will read. I
Yeah.
just think that's the kind of author.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And apparently I didn't read those books, but apparently this is a huge departure.
Yeah.
She's so talented. She can tackle something completely different and just be a phenom at it.
Cool. Thank you, Kim. Okay, you got a quick one for us, Amanda?
Yep. That cover is amazing, by the way, on the Startup Wife.
Yeah, it's a good cover.
Also, I'm still blown away. I didn't realize Gabe is in San Diego Noir, y'all.
I know. See, okay, Gabe, you did not
Yeah,
toot your
Gabe.
horn. Okay, I'm
come
taking
we
it
don't know
back like
that?
what I'm doing here. If Amanda didn't know,
What's up with that?
come
It
on,
was one
Gabe.
of the,
That's
it was one of
wild.
the better reviewed stories in there, but
Come on, Gabe. You got to do a little bit better self promotion there, dude.
Yeah.
that was like a million years ago. I was a different man back then.
Wow. I want to talk really quick about space. This evening, there is a conjunction of Venus and Mars. So if you look up around sunset and a little while after, you'll see that they're very close in the sky, only the difference of the width of your finger.
Wow.
So I was going to talk about this book, but I thought maybe not for our general readership. But
Have you
this
put the
is a
little
cool
thing
book.
like not made for children?
But instead, I'm going to talk about this book that is coming out in paperback next week, The Sirens of Mars. This was one of the best books of the year, according to the New York Times Book Review last year. It's written by a scientist at Georgetown, Sarah Stewart Johnson, and she tells the story of how she and other researchers have scoured Mars for signs of life. So it's not only a story about Mars, it's also the story of her as a scientist. And the New York Times this Sunday has this great, again, I'm going to resort to a poet's words over mine. Anthony Doerr actually wrote a blurb on this book. He says, Johnson's prose swirls with lyrical wonder, as varied and multi-hued as the apricot deserts, butterscotch skies, and blue sunsets of Mars. So that's The Sirens of Mars. You can pre-order the paperback now. It comes out next week.
Yay. All right. Another good week of recommendations. I think we got something for everybody out there. I'm going to quickly just share my screen because I want to talk about all the events we have this week, which we've got something for everybody. So Sean will be here tomorrow at 4 doing Razorblade Tears. I'm so looking forward to that conversation. I can't wait. But I'm also looking forward to this one with Makita Bratwin, Couple Found Slain. This is a true crime. So now you're seeing a little bit more into my personality with the torture scenes and the true crime stuff. So there you go. Anyways, I think this will be a really interesting conversation. For you, historical fiction, The Forest of Vanishing Stars is on Wednesday at 6. So we've got a couple, there's a back-to-back. And then Thursday, I loved this book, A Burning, I can't say her last name, so I'm not even gonna try. But Meg will be with Jennifer Thompson on Thursday. Oops, I'm gonna scooch back here. I got to click happy there. So Meg will be here on Thursday. And then if you want a great summer read, quick summer read, Shoulder Season, Christine Clancy. So something for everybody this week on the event schedule. Great. So thank you everybody thank you reps for coming in, Kim, Amanda. I'm going to take us off of Facebook. Thanks everybody for watching again. We will be back next week. We'll see you at 4 o'clock on Monday. Have a good week of reading.
Bye, everyone.
Bye everybody.